I want to ask an honest question. For those of you who are familiar with the Zues network, is the CEO Lemuel Plummer problematic? Is Lemuel Plummer, who is the CEO of Zues network, is he problematic? I want to know your thoughts, comments, and I'm going to give you my opinion. Let's get into it. I'm back. Like I said I would. It's just that I came back an hour later than I said I was. And that's because I got caught up doing a couple of things that needed to get done. But now I'm back. So, this is a commentary that I was going to do today. However, I had to do the commentary about Will Smith because that was breaking news. But we're going to talk about Lemuel Plummer, who is the CEO of Zues. Now, I'm talking about him because I am a subscriber of the Zues network. And I'm going to be honest when I say this. For the most part, I didn't find the Zues network to be offensive because I understood the theme of the Zues network, because it is thematic, which is providing raw and uncensored content at its highest level. Meaning, we're going to give you content where we are going to show the personalities on the network and it's raw, and they're raw, inhibited, with being uninhibited and uncensored. But at the same time, the quality of it, we're going to provide quality production where we're going to have them set in a wonderful house. The wardrobe is going to be spot on. The lighting is going to be spot on. The crew is going to do a great job. And each of the personalities on the show and the producers of the show, in terms of those who are going to have their own shows, they are going to be content partners, meaning that they're going to get profits in on the shows that they're going to star in, which is a precedent, okay? Because you can sell a show on a network, but you won't get the profits. You won't even get the profits if you star in the show as an executive producer. A lot of times you don't. You just get an extra check, but you're getting a profit, which means that all the money that all of us subscribers pay to see, they're getting something out of that. And I'm going to be honest with you, I think that is great. So financially, he's not being exploitive to the people who are the stars of the shows, okay? Another thing about Lemuel Plummer that I do like, I like his resume. Lemuel Plummer didn't just create Zues off of like just doing it like, hey, I had this idea. I want to create a network because I saw Netflix and I like what they do. So now I want to, get in on, streaming services. No. Lemuel Plummer has an extensive resume. Okay. I looked up his credentials 3 weeks ago. Lemuel Plummer's family they were in the television business. They sold shows. Most of it was local programming. But they played a huge part in the media where they're from. Okay, they're from Michigan. Okay. Lemmy, who got the bug, he's the one that got the bug to, be intrigued with the business of television. He attended Full Sail University, which is in Florida. He graduated with a degree in business. Okay? His degree focuses on media, production, And I'm going to say this. I think that's incredible that he has obtained those type of credentials. When he graduated, I don't know the year, but to my understanding, more than likely it was probably like 2008. I'm going to look it up again and see what year did Lemuel Plummer graduate. So he graduated in 2007. So he has a film associates in film, and he has a bachelor's of science degree in entertainment business. That's incredible. So what he did was he became a production assistant for ABC television, and he worked on a show called Extreme Makeover Home Edition. Afterwards, he became a producer and editor at Paramount Pictures, and he created Tropic Thunder webisodes. Now, Tropic Thunder was a huge movie the summer of 2008. Then he moved on to BET Networks, and that was almost 2 years later. So he was executive producer, but he was a contract, meaning that he worked like per show. So he was a contract employee where he was producing different shows. And the first show he sold to BET was called Vindicated. And I'm going to tell you, that was a powerful show, and it was very positive. That was in 2012. He also worked on the Monique Show. He worked on the Family Cruise. He worked on Sunday Best, and he also worked on I Can Sing Too. Okay? Then, in between that time, he also decided, I'm going to go even more into the business. I'm going to produce shows and have more of a really hands-on experience, really hands-on with producing the shows. And I'm going to be an executive producer. So he decided to create a show called The Preachers of LA, which was a huge hit. And that was on for 2 years. Then he moved on and expounded on the Preachers series. Then he was still at BET and he produced the Westbrooks. Now, the Preachers series was on Oxygen. Okay? Then he did Music Moguls. Now, Music Moguls, I think it was on Oxygen. I'm not sure. I'm going to take a look. Give me one moment to see if it was on Oxygen. Let me see if it was on Oxygen. Oxygen. Promises. Okay, so it seems like it was on... It seems like it was on more so BET. I could be wrong. But Living with Funny was definitely Oxygen. Two Sides, that could have been, that's TV One. Now, in 2018, he left and officially debuted the Zues Network. Now, this is where it gets to, is he problematic? And why I say that is because Lemmy Plummer starts off with the Zues Network with positive shows. He has the Ultimate Fitness Challenge. He has the Scholarship. He has Adam's World, Shirtless Chefing with Don Benjamin, Life with Little Tay. Now, that was a hot mess with that little girl. Bad Escorts. That was like, it was weird. Sober Coach. I remember Sober Coach. Your Best Life. And You're My Boyfriend. Okay. So those were different shows, like reality shows, scripted series. But here was the thing. Nobody was watching in terms of boosting the ratings. And this is where I think Lemmy wanted to make the money. And this is where I criticized the show called TT Do You Love Me? I thought it was horrible. I only saw one episode. I thought it was bad. But TT Do You Love Me was a hit. And then he produced The Real Dumbass World. That was more for like teenagers, young adults. I thought it was bad in itself because it took the worst of people who have like certain different, certain disabilities, and calling them dumbasses. It was just wrong. And I thought it was totally exploitive. But then he comes out with a show called Black China. Now, this is why I decided to sign up for the Zues Network, because Tokyo Tony. I like Tokyo Tony. I like Black China, but I like Tokyo Tony. And what I saw in terms of the previews, I said, I have to watch this because I have to see, is she going to finally reconcile with her mom? And I'm going to tell you, she did. I see videos. That show actually helped them strengthen their bond. Believe it or not, even though you see a lot of arguing. And you also see that a lot of those people that were around China, they were using her. And she cut all of them loose, even though the way it happened was messed up. Because this is where people complain that they weren't getting paid from Zues. And this is where the problems come out about the Zues Network. And Tokyo Tony wasn't the only one talking. Then he has the Dr. Blackson show. That show, Blackson, I could take him or leave him, but it wasn't buffoonish and it wasn't coonish at all. Then Tokyo Tony, Final Love ASAP. It wasn't a bad show, but the people that they had on the show, the contestants, I was like, no. But that was the show that was filmed first. Before The Real Black China, they filmed Tokyo Tony, but they released Black China to get that buzz because really it was money. Then the big one comes. Jocelyn's Cabaret Miami. This is where all the Love and Hip Hop fans of Jocelyn's come on the show. This is really what takes the network to the next level, because then you have shows called The Conversation. Then you have Baddies. Then you have the special, the B2K Millennium Tour special. Then you have Doses of Drea. And then you have a show that I actually like, which is One More Chance, which is why I kept it. Now, Jocelyn's Cabaret Atlanta, I really liked that season. I really thought it was a good season. Bad Boys LA, it's not a bad show, but I feel that he's exploiting the gay community. And he's also exploiting straight black men. But I'm going to talk about that on my review channel. Because I'm going to, over the weekend, post reviews of Bad Boys LA. And I will be doing a review of Jocelyn's Cabaret in full on my main channel, going live, and then talking about the reunion on my review channel. When Jocelyn's Cabaret Las Vegas, what's going on is what's shedding the light on Lemuel Plummer. Now, why I asked the question if he's problematic is because he gave an interview that I will be talking about tonight. He gave an interview with TGT, as in E-A-GIF, which is on Fox Soul. And I really like that show. And I'm not going to get into the crux of it, but Lemuel Plummer came off very condescending. Now, I understand him protecting his brand and not trying to, say, no, I never got any lawsuit papers. But here's the problem. He deflected badly. And it shows that He doesn't have any regard or care about the safety of the people that work on the show. The cast, the contestants, he doesn't care for their safety. The only people's safety he cares about is Jocelyn. Now, what I learned through my research is that the women who started the show, they said when they signed the contract, it states you cannot put hands on Jocelyn. But Jocelyn can put her hands on you. And it's because Jocelyn is the star of the show. It's her show. And I'm inclined to believe it because there is a protection that he has for his content partners. And I think that's the benefits they have of being a content partner. Because if you look at the Zues network, like the actual office, the building, the office has on the wall Jocelyn, not just him and his wife, Janisha, but it has Jocelyn, Ballistic. It has Natalie. It has Drea, Black China. And it has TT on there as well. Okay? That tells me everything I need to know. What Lemmy did was Lemmy saw that VH1 and Oxygen were not going to use the people on Zues. And what he did was, I'll take them and I will repackage them and I will market and capitalize off of their name because they already have a name and they have a brand. But I'm going to rebrand them in such a way that the people are going to really want to see them because I'm going to let them do whatever they want on the show because it's their show. They're a content partner. Okay? And that's what he did. Now, I'm not going to lie. I do believe what Lemmy says is true. That's what the people want. His viewers. Here's why. The content that was first created, nobody was checking for it really. The only one that people was really watching was Are You My Boyfriend? They was watching Are You My Boyfriend? And they was watching TT Do You Love Me? The scripted shows, and they did watch the Ultimate Fitness Challenge. That they did. But the scripted shows, they wasn't watching that. But the reality shows, the raw provocativeness, they want to see it. And it's only $4.99. You know? And most people, including me, we added to our phone bill. So we're not paying for it directly from our debit or credit account. We're paying for it in our package with whether it's T-Mobile, whether it's AT&T, or whether it's Verizon. And that's a reality. That's the reason why Zues is a hit. We're paying for it on our phones through our phone cellular providers. And that's how we're paying for it. We're not paying for this. Most people that have Zues, they'll have it hooked up to their TV through Google. Now, I don't know about Apple. I can't say that. Apple TV. But I could tell you from Google, we have it hooked up, connected to our cellular provider. Because I could tell you something. If we had to pay out of pocket, most people wouldn't have Zues and Zues would be shut down. Now, Lemmy is worth $17 million, which I think is accurate. But here's the thing. I do believe he's problematic. Because what he's done is he created a situation. He allowed it. He could have stopped the situation with Jocelyn's Cabaret back in the summer, back in June, July of 2021. He didn't stop it. When that whole thing went down between Big Lex and Ballistic and Jocelyn, that was the precursor of what happened with Amber Henny, Riri, the young lady, Lexi Blow, and someone else on the set. I can't think of the names. But that was a precursor with those 4. And Lemmy could have said, you know what? I can't let you throw a candle at someone. Threw candles at Big Lex. And then you got Belixis standing up and screaming and yelling at her like he about to hit her. And that was when people say this gotta stop. He didn't stop it. And when he gave that interview on Fox Soul with Claudia Jordan, he was able to manipulate the situation because Claudia Jordan has worked for him hosting the reunion for One More Chance season 2. And he likes to say, but I gave you a job and you got paid. So that's his way of quieting the situation down. I gave you a job, you got paid. That's the same thing he told Lunel. But you got paid for your services. So why are you complaining? So he's one of those Negroes that feels that, you got paid? Don't say nothing. Keep it moving. I paid you. That doesn't work in a legal setting. Because see, here's the problem. You got insurance that you got to deal with. If everything comes out with that whole situation with Jocelyn, and those girls are going to sue, they got lawyers that are ready to take this case. Those insurance companies that protect you in case anything happens, that's like the workers' comp insurances under California law, they will drop Zues. And under California law, without insurance companies, without insurance coverage, you can't work. The company can't employ anyone. Which means that they will have to shut down production. There won't be any shows. Which means all your content partners, they ain't going to make money. Okay? Now, if you're going to have shows like a person like Jocelyn Cabaret, Baddies, Bad Boys of Los Angeles, you got to also balance it and have other content. You worked in production. Why didn't you bring shows from like your days at BET and Oxygen to Zues? You got the All Black Network. They got a streaming app. Then you have, there's another streaming app. I can't think of the name of it. But there are so many streaming app platforms where they have a variety already. Now, the app itself may not be working that great, but they have a variety of content. Why can't you do the same? That tells me something's up with Lemmy. And I'm going to tell you what my theory is with it. Because many people who've worked with Lemmy have said this. And this isn't an allegation. But it's been alleged by the young women that work on Jocelyn's Cabaret that Lemmy Plummer and Jocelyn do drugs together. And this was said by the girls from Zues that was on Jocelyn's Cabaret. So I'm only repeating what they said. And also bloggers on YouTube have mentioned this as well, according to what the girls from Jocelyn Cabaret said. They said they witnessed Lemmy Plummer and Jocelyn acting like they were high. Lemmy Plummer walks around with sunglasses on, and his shades are very dark and tinted. And I noticed that was a little bit off with me. I felt like that was weird. Another thing I thought was weird was that the way he coddles her behavior. You could say what you want to about Mona, but when that whole fight happened, season 3 reunion of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, Jocelyn got suspended to where she couldn't be featured in the season premiere episode of season 4. She didn't even get paid for the first season. No, she could not even get paid for that first episode. She got sanctioned. That's the reason why season 4 reunion, her and Mimi made up, because that was part of the agreement. You gotta be cool with certain people, and you gotta have peace with them. No more beefing with you and Mimi. No more beefing with all these other people, because she had to make herself look like she was a good person. And I like Jocelyn. I want to keep that. I like Jocelyn, particularly from Love and Hip Hop. This Jocelyn is more, to me, I find much more like sinister than the one from Love and Hip Hop. But I'm going to get back to that in a later date. I always talked about that. But moving along with like the whole thing with Love and Hip Hop and Jocelyn, Mona and the other producers, they were very strict with Jocelyn. And then when Jocelyn turned up again, throwing the drink at Mimi, by season 5 and the beginning of season 6, Mona had enough. And that's when they started falling off. And that's when she was pregnant. So she really didn't want to be bothered with like a lot of stuff going on. But she started showing up late. She was like, I don't care about Love and Hip Hop anymore. And she quit. And she told Mona to S her D. That's all. She came back in Miami for season 3. But by then, they weren't on good terms. And she didn't show up to the reunion. And that's when things were severed. But she also had a relationship with WeTV. And then she had filmed Jocelyn's Cabaret Miami. Now, she was supposed to have her own show on Jocelyn's Cabaret. On WeTV, called Jocelyn Takes Miami. That was the main reason why she was also filming for VH1, because she was also doing the show for WeTV. But the WeTV deal for her show fell through. We don't know what happened. We can't speculate and say that her and Deuce didn't get along, because she was on Jocelyn's, Marriage Boot Camp. Hip Hop Edition. Love and Hip Hop Edition. So we can't say that it was, her. We don't know what happened. But Lemmy scooped her up, rescued her, and gave her a second chance. And she's very valuable financially to Lemmy. So he's going to protect her. Now, coming back to the drug accusations, what those girls said on Jocelyn Cabaret, I believe it. I'm going to tell you why. Shout out to Quentin, a.k.a. Funky Dineva, okay, from TGIF. He said something that was very profound. He said, I can give out free crack to crackheads, but it doesn't make it right. Lemmy got so upset and said, how dare you insult my viewers and call them crackheads? And the way he got upset, it was offended. He said, I'm absolutely offended. And Q said, I did not call your viewers crackheads. I just made it an example. I just basically, is giving it to you and letting you know that you don't have to give and provide trash content. It's not okay. Just because that's what they want. He was like, no, I feel insulted. You call my viewers crackheads. So then I said, I got to go back and look at what those photos that he's taken with Jocelyn. Now I got to listen to what those girls said again. So yesterday I looked at the photos, and I'm going to tell you something. That man, I always thought something was off with his bobblehead and being so thin, because he's real thin. So I said, let me see how he's looked when he was young, 10 years younger. I can tell you, as a kid, he's always had a strange head. But he was thicker 10 years ago. He was even thicker 5 years ago. Back in 2017. No, back in 2016. So that was 6 years ago. But something along the way, he's lost weight. Now, it could be stress. But his actions to me, based on the content of his channel, tells me he's not right in his brain. And I believe that he does do drugs. It's a belief. I'm not saying Lemmy does drugs. I'm not saying that, it's a fact. But based on what I've seen, drug users and drug addicts and the behaviors and how he got offensive about the crackhead comparison with the crack, he was highly offended. He basically let the cat out the bag that more than likely Lemmy does drugs. And what those girls were saying about him and Jocelyn being drug user partners, you just gave validity to a rumor that wasn't going to gain any steam, let alone traction. You told on yourself. And now we understand why you allowing all the stuff. And you probably allowing it because whoever might be the connect is connected to Jocelyn and Ballistic. Because we seen Ballistic geeked up. Let's be honest. Them photos were three of them said, four of them together with Janisha, with the exception of Janisha, they looked geeked up. But all I'm going to say in closing is, Janisha, you better run. I know you married to this man. Even though on Instagram he doesn't call you wife, he calls you babe. You better run. Because unlike him, you got a journalist career. You're married to him. And I'm sure you basically going along with this because of the wealth. Because you interviewed him on the red carpet in 2016. And you probably saw a good thing with this man because you were like working on Temple as a journalist. But honey, you don't need something like this ruining your journalism career because you still work. You still work. Yes, you work on Zues, but you still work as a journalist. You don't own a network. Your husband does. But in closing, I'm going to say, based on the stuff that I outlined and the fact that he's allowing the behaviors to be displayed on his Zeus network for profit, and he believes that this is the stuff that we want, yeah, he's problematic. And also, I'm going to say this too. After I conclude watching Bad Boys LA, if one more chance doesn't return, I'm going to unsubscribe. I'm going to keep it only to do the reviews for Bad Boys LA. But after the whole thing with Jocelyn's Cabaret, even if that show comes back on, I'm not watching it. I can't do it. I can't do it. It's just like, it's 2022 and it's time out for smut television to be, entertained. We got to call out like trash. And what's being allowed in terms of beating up girls, violence, cruelness. And when Q said there is no cabaret, that just did it for me. So I'm signing off. I will be talking about Lemmy tomorrow. Or maybe early tomorrow. Early. And that's all. I'm signing off. Take care. Have a great rest of your night. And a wonderful weekend. Later.